Good morning and happy Saturday. Welcome back to the Daily Grind. I'm your host, Chump Change. This is live and recorded. For anybody that might be new here, what we typically do is go over crypto news in the space. I update myself, bring you guys along for the ride. Let's see who's here in the chat, and then we'll get into this. Mr. Allset, good to see you, buddy. Andrew Masad, we have Iguana Bites. Vinny, good to see you. Lawnmower Man, Cook 4015, Ogre, giving me shit as always. Appreciate you, buddy. DJ Mines in the house, good to see you, buddy. Let's see who else is here. I think I saw Crypto Bedell. I did. Good morning, sir. D Miners, good to see you. Let's see, scrolling down a bit. Mike R, Black Hat, Crypto Meme, Rud Puts, my man, appreciate you, dude. One of my longest members there. All right, let's get into this. Anybody else I may have missed, I apologize. Bitcoin 67,886. Look at that, looking fantastic. We have Ethereum at 33.37. We have 14 days until the Bitcoin halving. You guys don't know, that's the block reward being cut in half for miners, so there's going to be a lot less out there every day, going from 900 to 450. So it's going to be one hell of a supply shock. We're going to see what happens there. XRP 58 cents today. We have ADA at 58 cents as well. ETC is at $33, looking pretty good. Caspa's at 13.3. Litecoin is up to $101, not too bad. ARB at $1.48. We have Dogecoin at 18 cents. Shiba is up 1.27% on the day. Looks like the meme coin's coming back a little bit. Render is still under 10 bucks, but it's 9.39. Not too bad. Looks pretty good. STX looks like it is up 5.4% today at $3.15. Injective is at $35.33. Not too bad, up 10% today. All right, so Crypto Bubbles over here looking like CKB, biggest earner on the day, 29.8% up at 2 cents. This is the Nervos network. If you guys don't know, it is a mineable coin. We have Pendle, 24.8% up on the day. Looks like it's at $7.08. We got Ordi up 16.4 at $68.98. ENA, which is Athena, this is $1.10, up 18.6 today. We have XEC up 16.7% today, which is eCash. Nothing else really sticking out at me. Maybe Flare a little bit. We got 18.2% up on the day, 4 cents. Not bad. BCH actually has been doing pretty good lately. Wow, it's almost $700. Holy shit. That honestly,
perfect.
I think it's just because the name Bitcoin's in it. That's just my opinion. Is what it is. But man, almost $700, up 7.1%. They just went through a halving 2 days ago, I believe. So the block reward, obviously being cut in half, is obviously giving, I don't know, it's pushing it up. So I guess hopefully we see the same exact thing happen with Bitcoin. That's crazy. That is crazy. All right, flashbang, here we go. Over here, Fear and Greed Index, we're at a 75. Looks like we are teetering the line of what the hell do we do? Are we going up from here or going down from here? Good morning, Mr. Max Voltage. Good to see you, buddy. Don't forget.
You guys don't get to 100 likes. I'm going to show you my cleavage.
Max gets wild on Saturday nights. If you guys don't know, we go live every Saturday, 9:45 Eastern Standard Time. All right, let's check it out. Trending coins over here on CoinGecko. We have Gala, Catcoin, and Moon Tropica. I have no idea what these two are. I know what Gala is. It's up 4.2% on the day. The other two are down. So who cares? All right, top 10 coins by coin market cap over on CoinGecko. We have Bitcoin, Ethereum, Tether, BNB, Solana, USDC, XRP, Lido Staked Ether, Dogecoin, and Cardano. Cardano, again, I've said it for about a week and a half now, 2 weeks. I think it's a good buy. 57 cents. Again, not financial advice. Do your own damn research. You're responsible for your own money. This is, I think, possibly an easy 6x, right? All-time high, $3. Again, it's at 57 cents. Go to the max chart. Look at the last bull run, 2017, where everything pops. 2021, everything pops. And we are getting into 2024. So after the halving, usually things pop. So Cardano, I would not be surprised if that rose with everything else, right? Rising tide, was it raises all ships or floats all ships, or I don't know, whatever that saying is. You guys know what I'm talking about. Just yeah, be wary if you guys want to get into something. That's probably a safe bet if I had to guess. Caspa, 13 cents. Looks like it's still holding a $3 billion market cap, doing all right. I think Caspa's doing good. Just gonna wait. Hopefully we have another leg up at some point soon. Let's check out the chart real quick. Looks like it's building some sort of descending wedge, right? Which is typically bullish flag or so formation. So we'll see what happens. Let's see. 320,000 new Bitcoin Cash wallets created in just 10 days last week, as reported on NASDAQ. Good article, worth reading. Nice. DS Flat, thank you for that. That's awesome. If you guys have any questions or want anything I want to talk about, just at me in the chat. All right, let's move on to miners. You guys know I like to timestamp this stuff, see what the most profitable miner is of the day. KS5 Pro still on top of the charts. 21 terahash unit making $125 a day. We have the KS5 20 terahash unit making $119 a day. That's just under 1,000 CASPA a day. Crazy. The Gold Shell AL box. Hey, has this thing actually got a price yet? Does anybody know? Is it like selling anywhere, or is it just kind of like placeholding still? Because I saw this thing listed for 10k and 99k. So I don't know how much this thing costs, and I don't think it's going to be worth the money, but it says it's making $108 a day, which is bruh. I don't think it's going to happen. Anyways, the KS5L 12 terahash unit making $68 a day. We have the BM KS Max 11 terahash unit making $58.49 a day. We have the Windminer K9 making $57.46. The KS3 from Ice River is making $43.10. KS3M 6 terahash unit is making $29.93. The $43.10 was the 8 terahash unit. Let's see. We have Jazzminer X16P 5.8 gigahash unit making $24 a day. I still think this price on this unit is much too expensive, but it's nice to see about 25 bucks a day on that thing. Good morning, Backatran. Good to see you, buddy. Let's see what else we want to look at. The L7 has been killing it with Dogecoin rising and Litecoin rising. Obviously, I have the 9050 version down at Terra Hosting. Shout out to them. 10 cents kilowatt hour instead of paying my 30 up here. I'm actually making profit 17.15 a day, which is amazing. We have, let's see, the T21. Does anybody have this? Bitmain T21 190 terahash unit making $16 a day. That's not too bad, huh? Not too bad. Greater Good Mining, what's up, dude? Good to see you, man. Good to see you. When are we gonna get this CASPA pump? Let me know. Let me know. We got the Ice River KS2 2 terahash unit making $10 a day, just about 984. That's kind of rough, man. That's kind of rough. 1200 watts. I don't know. That's crazy. The S19K, I got one of these units too. I'm still mining Bitcoin, not Digibyte, making $9.17 a day. I'm gonna click into this. Let me see. Let me mute this real quick. Every time I click into it, thank God they stopped that noise. They stopped making, like, every time you clicked into this, it would make like this loud, awful noise. So Bitcoin, if you're mining Bitcoin with it, you're making a couple bucks less than Digibyte, which is crazy right now. So recommend, if you guys are into Digibyte and you want to hold it, then yeah, definitely swap your profits over to that. But me personally, I'm just stacking Bitcoin, and it's just kind of set it and forget it for me, so I'm leaving it where it is. All right, let's see. We have what else? KS1 making $4.92 a day. That's terrible. That's terrible. KS1. Wow. That means my KS zeros. Where are you? There we go. Ice River KS0. This is the Pro, making $1 a day. That's a 10 cents kilowatt hour. Let's change this to 30 and see what it looks like, because I'm running 8 of these right here. Actually, I lied. 9 of these. One's in the solar trailer. Where are we? KS0 Pro. I'm making 55 cents a day on each unit. So I'm making like 4 bucks. Damn it. Damn it. In other words, Chump Chain is too lazy to make extra 15% mine Digibyte. 100%. Way too lazy. Well, to be honest, I've been working on the studio and I'm just tired. I am so tired. I don't have time to worry about $3. I'm like, I had to get the floor done last night, so that was that. All right, let's move on to the GPUs. I actually finished the entire floor in the new studio, so that's cool. My back hurts today and my knees are not agreeing with me. We have the RTX 4090 mining Gram, Iron Fishing Gram. Top of the charts today. Looks like everywhere. Holy shit. Every single card. Ironfish and Gram, or Gram. Interesting. 3090. The 3090 seems to always be a little different, which is, I don't know why. It's kind of weird to me, but looks like NUR is on the top of the chart and Xano. for that one. We have the 3090 Ti, which is Nexa, Nur, and Xano. It's so strange to me. I don't get it. Then we have the 3070 Ti laptop GPU. If you don't mind on a laptop, please just don't even look at that. Don't even mind on a laptop. Not smart. Not smart. You're gonna burn it up. We have the NVIDIA CMP 170HX mining Chlor. Looks like the 90HX also on Chlor and Ironfish. Yeah, other than that, man, looks like Ironfish is taking this shit over. I don't know. Ironfish is not for me. I will never mine that coin. Let's check over here. New coins. See if there's anything new on the list for mining. Looks like they updated this because Puppy Coin was the second one. And this Vixil was stuck up here for like a while for whatever reason. But it looks like they put everything back in order. So cool. They added this. I don't know what this Puppy Coin is or any of these coins. Most of these coins are complete trash. So be careful. Don't download things unless you know what they are. Go to the events calendar real quick. Bitcoin again, Halving in 14 days. Radiant is in 12 days. We have Bitcoin SV in 7 days. Isotope C, which is ISO, in 6 days. And eCash is in 5 days. And that is, hold on. Let me see. eCash. That's this one right here. This one's been pumping 15.5%. It's going through a halving. Is that why? Probably. Chop chop. The bathroom isn't going to finish itself. I know. I know. I got to set the toilet in the vanity. Shut up, Max. Get out of here.
Eat shit, Gary.
That's for you. All right, let's move on to the news segment of things. See what they got to say over here. Tesla shares pop on Musk announcement that robo-taxis will be unveiled on August 8th. We're going to have robo-taxis. Can you guys imagine? All right, hit that like button. Appreciate you for hanging out. Let's do it.
Time for a bonus. Tomorrow's news tonight with two big stories involving a guy named Elon Musk. The first on artificial intelligence and his startup XAI. The Wall Street Journal reporting investors close to Musk are in talks to help the company raise $3 billion. That would give the valuation of $18 billion. And the company was only launched in July of last year. Here's a bigger story. Perfect. Elon Musk sharing himself on X that Tesla will unveil its long-awaited robo-taxi on August 8th. The news sending shares of Tesla up after hours. Phil LeBeau joining us on the phone on this breaking story. Phil.
You know, Brian, when you look at this, this is one of those that's going to have more speculation than anything because he didn't get much from Elon Musk today except for one post on X late this afternoon. It said robo-taxi unveil on August 8th.
That's crazy.
All right, so what does that mean? Well, a lot of questions here. First of all, what are we talking about in terms of entry into service? Where will the location of the robo-taxi be? Certainly not going to be widespread. It'll probably be in one specific area, maybe a geo-fenced area. What's the level of autonomy? Remember, full self-driving is not full self-driving. It's nowhere close to it. And has the technology evolved to the point where it could be? And where's the vehicle going to be manufactured? So as you look at this all sets up the question that will come when Tesla reports its Q1 results on April 23rd. A lot of questions will be about the robo-taxi because, Brian, at the end of the day, on paper, the robo-taxi or any autonomous taxi service makes complete sense. You strip out the driver, you lower the cost. Fantastic. Here's the problem. We are nowhere close to having the level of autonomy widespread where this can take off. Now, has he cracked the code? We'll find out in the months to come.
Well, they're offering up, I think.
You imagine that? I know they already kind of have it, but damn. That's like, I don't know how I'd feel about that, jumping in a taxi that had nobody in the front seat. I don't know.
What is a month of free full self-driving, what they call FSD?
Well, yes, but remember, it's not full self-driving, Brian. It's level 2, level 3 autonomy. You still need to pay attention. Are there parts of a drive where you can take your hands off the wheel and the vehicle will control itself if it's a Tesla with full self-driving? Absolutely. Is it going to take you from point A to point B wherever you are and you don't have to touch that steering wheel? Not a chance. They're not at that level of technology yet.
But once they get to that level, that'd be awesome, right? Because like then that kind of gets rid of like the single woman that was out like for the night and doesn't have to worry about this asshole Uber driver like pulling some shady shit. You know what I mean? Because there's been stories like that. People get kidnapped and shit, and I get it. That'd be cool, right? Kind of get rid of that risk, but I don't know. Weird.
Phil LeBeau joining us by phone on a pretty big breaking story. Phil, thank you very much. All right, joining us now is Tesla investor and Deepwater Asset Management managing partner, Gene Munster. Gene, we're going to bring you on to talk about kind of something different. Maybe we'll get to it, but I got to ask you, robo-taxis. Everyone's been waiting. Is this a big deal?
What do you guys think this is going to do for the price of Tesla? It's going to freaking explode. I think Kathy Wood was on point. She said like 2K, right? It's at like 160 something now. It's crazy.
Brian, it is a big deal, and I think that it's an important context to the investor. Phil framed it in well in terms of what the potential impact is, just higher margin. Before I do that, I want to just mention this is probably coming at the cost of them not pursuing the cheaper Model 2 $25,000 vehicle that was on the table. They've talked about that. That probably is now on pause, and all of the focus is on robotaxi. I suspect the reason why they've made that change here recently is they have more confidence in some of that beta that you were just talking about. The response so far, including our own Andrew Murphy from Deepwater, who's been following this, uses this technology, has been that this is a step function improvement. So we're getting much closer. But I want to put some quick numbers on, Brian, why this is such a big deal, why this is a win for Tesla investors. And it will take a long time to get there, 3, 4, 5 years. But to put in perspective, if they do 1 million robotaxis, that's a number that Elon talked about in 2019, 1 million robotaxis, and those robotaxis earn $250 a day each, and they take a 15% take rate on that, that adds $10 billion to the operating line, the net income line. That is basically double what their current net income is. Again, it'll take a long time to get there, but if you just think about the levers and about shifting this company in a whole different direction back to the growth topic, this has the potential to do that.
That's crazy, man. That's so crazy. I mean, it's going to be good and weird at the same time. I think people will like it, but at the same time, it's going to be yeah, I don't know. Trusting a robot like that is what it is. All right. AI will drive growth in multiple sectors in Q2, says Alger CEO Dan Chung over here on CNBC. Let's see what he's got to say. Guys, hit that like button. Appreciate you for hanging out.
Back in October, our next guest called this the beginning of a new bull market. So here to share where he sees this market heading now is Alger CEO and CIO Dan Chung. It's good to see you. Thanks for coming by.
Thank you.
So S&P's up 21% since you made that call. I know you're probably feeling pretty good about yourself. This is a what have you done for me lately business, though. Where are we going from here?
Well, I think there's still a lot of room to run and a lot of time to run. First quarter earnings about to come up. I think it was really interesting that we had good news in the economy in the jobs report. And unlike a couple days ago, when people feared that might mean that, Fed easing was off the table, the markets rallied quite strongly. I think it's a sign, actually, interestingly, that, there's a strong fundamental underlying support for the market because the Fed is going to cut in coming years. And at the same time, the economy is, moving along well. And so that's a very positive combination for corporate earnings, and the market will follow that.
Are we not as beholden to interest rates as cuts as maybe we thought we were? Have we come around to the idea that stronger economy trumps rate cuts and we can deal with it for a while?
Well, we've been in the camp that fundamentals trump everything. And rates, of course, can affect fundamentals. But at the position that we're in now, which was the bias is clearly to cutting, even if we're holding on hold for longer than perhaps the market thought, the bias is towards downward over the next couple of years. And so that's the positive support for the equities.
Okay, so it's as long as you know that the hiking trend is over and the new trend from the Fed is starting, that's good enough.
Yes.
You were bullish large cap tech like NVIDIA, Amazon, Microsoft. So those stocks since your call in October have come a long way.
Yeah. Like 70% for NVIDIA or more, I think.
Do you still like them, or they come too far too fast?
So the good thing about NVIDIA and some of them is that their earnings and revenue growth is almost keeping up pace with the stocks. So they haven't gotten extreme in valuation yet. But it's the opportune time now to also think about what will be the next beneficiaries of AI, and as well as a strong economy.
How are you doing that? What stands out to you? If a lot of money's been made, the easy money, I should say, has been made in these names for the time being, where can I make the easy money now?
Well, there's never any easy money. But I think actually AI is powerful enough that it's going to drive investment and therefore growth across multiple sectors. But I'll give an example. In traditional media, TV, movies, there's a large percentage of costs that's in the production and post-production. We see Netflix, for example, as an interesting AI beneficiary that people don't think about, but it's on the cost structure. They spend $18, $19 billion a year in producing their content. A lot of that production cost could be significantly reduced by AI.
Do you believe in the broadening story?
The broadening of the market,
broadening of the market story.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, my partner Anka Crawford here was earlier. I guess now we're talking about the Fab Four instead of the Magnificent Seven.
Right.
I have a little bit of doubt. I think the three that are getting dropped are still very good companies, but they're going through some transitions, and that's Tesla, Google, and Apple. I think they will be very strong players and benefit from AI, maybe in a little bit second stage, although whenever Tesla finally gets automated driving really nailed down, that's going to be a singular moment. But yes, we see a broadening of the market into other sectors. And for example, electricity demand is up a lot because the computing intensity of AI-driven servers demands a lot of energy. And utilities, of course, have been far out of favor. We're not typically seen as utility investors, but we see some interesting opportunities in utilities just because of the electrical demand.
Interesting. I appreciate your time. Thanks for coming by.
Thank you.
That's Dan Chung here of Alger.
Awesome. Shout out to CNBC for that. That's man, that's crazy. It's crazy to think about how we could have literally just DJ Mines in the chat said the 12-hour imagine a 12-hour trip. He said completely passive sleeping. Oh man, the future. It's crazy to think about. That could be a thing. All right, Skybridge, Anthony Scaramucci, Bitcoin still has room to run. Let's see what he's got to say over here on CNBC television.
Cryptocurrency's been retreating from last month's all-time high of nearly $74,000, fueled by a wave of demand from spot Bitcoin ETFs. Joining me now, Post 9, Anthony Scaramucci of Skybridge Capital. Welcome back. It's good to see you here.
Thanks, Scott. Good to be here.
So maybe the ETFs played a role. I think we can all agree on that, but Bitcoin's back. Why? What are all the reasons you think?
Well, I mean, I think the ETF was a big reason. I think the regulatory hurdle where the United States government is now allowing a QSIP to be attached to Bitcoin is a big reason. And I think you know Wall Street as well as anybody. When Wall Street gets a product like this, it's like a selling machine, and it's generating lots of demand for the product. And I think we're surprised that there's over $10 billion in the first quarter of new flows for something like Bitcoin.
Why? Why are you surprised?
Well, it took a year for GLD, the gold ETF, to get to $10 billion. And so this did it in 25% of the time. And, you know, not to bore everybody, but Bitcoin's, the network spits out about 900 coins a day. That's going to get cut in half probably April 20th or so.
2 weeks.
And so you're going down to 450 coins, and you probably have 2,000 to 3,000 coins of base demand at a time when the supply is going to get cut. So they said earlier that Bitcoin, the price of Bitcoin, the ETF was priced in. They're now saying that the halving is priced in. I don't believe that either. I think Bitcoin has a lot more to go here.
What do you think of hedges against inflation, interest rates? I've heard some people cite currency devaluations around the world playing a significant role as well. How would you assess that?
I see.
Real quick, sorry, I didn't mean to pause this, but Crypto KJ sent me this. The hell? Government wants flying taxis to take off in 2 years. I don't think we're ever going to see flying taxis. That's my opinion. This is going to be, I don't know. That seems a little iffy. I don't know how that's going to go. I guess we'll have to see.
Bitcoin still is a technical asset that's still adopting. It's about a 6% global adoption in terms of world's population.
That's crazy.
That puts it around 1998 for Web 1, just to give you the arc of it. So I don't see it that way, that there's a big currency issue. I don't think it becomes a Bitcoin standard, but I do think it becomes a digital store of value akin to gold. And so what's at issue for everybody right now? Where should that trade to if we're in price discovery mode? I'm just simply saying it could trade to half of the valuation of gold, which is a 6 to 8, 10 times move from here. It's not going to happen overnight. It's going to come with great volatility. But I want investors that are in Skybridge and know us to be a part of this story.
Do you think it's correlated still somewhat to, either risk assets broadly, speculative assets?
Yeah.
And if you do, does it ever divorce itself from that? In other words, if there's a sizable pullback in the NASDAQ and the momentum trade, does that go along with it?
Right. So it seems like it's sort of decoupling a little bit. Yesterday, the market was weak. Bitcoin was strong. There's a little bit of a decoupling. You mentioned the inflation issue. Let's just point this out to the viewers. The U.S. dollar's lost about 22% of its value since January of 2020. Bitcoin's gone up 8 to 1. Now you can say, okay, well, Anthony, you're dot plotting. You're picking a high dot for Bitcoin. Maybe Bitcoin drops 50% due to its volatility. But I think the arc of it is an inflation hedge. It doesn't necessarily mean that it's a short-term inflation hedge. But if you own Bitcoin, anybody that's owned Bitcoin in a rolling 4-year period of time, they've actually done well, Scott. They've never lost money if they're able to hold on to it for periods like that.
Do you have in your mind a target level as people still try and throw those out, what you think is reasonable?
So I've been consistent with this, and I basically say that the halving's going to come on or about April 20th. Typically what's happened over the 18 months since the halving, you get a 4x move in Bitcoin. Let's be a little bit more conservative than that. I've been saying that it's about $170,000 for this cycle. But nice. Bitcoin is a cyclical product, in my opinion. Waves of people come into it, the demand is there, and then it goes through, pulls and drags, if you will. So I think it gets to 170,000 by the end of the cycle. We also like Solana, fully disclosed. We have smaller positions like Algorand and smaller positions like Avalanche. We're looking at some other tokens, but Bitcoin's a big kahuna.
So
that's interesting. You mentioned Solana.
Obviously, we think of Bitcoin, we think of FTX. Think of FTX. I think of in some respects, they purchased a 30% stake in your firm.
They did.
You got to know Sam very well.
I did.
So the sentence recently comes down. What were your thoughts when you heard the number? Was it severe enough? What are your just general thoughts on how this has all transpired?
I think I'm getting soft in my old age, okay? I felt very bad for the kid, okay? He hurt my business. He hurt my reputation. We sold a piece of our business. He lied to a lot of people. He hurt a lot of people. But when you really look at him clinically, he looks like a very damaged guy. He'll likely spend 18 to 20 years of his future in that sentence. If you talk to the bankruptcy people, there could be $90+ billion of assets that they're going to be able to divvy up among people. People will get their money back, but it was dollarized. So what does that mean? If I own 6 Bitcoins at $17,000, I'm getting 17,000 times 6 worth of value from the bankruptcy, but Bitcoin went to 67,000. So a lot of people upset about that as well. When I heard the sentence, I thought it was light, but I'm not unhappy with that sentence for Sam. I feel bad for him and his family. And listen,
you say you felt bad for him? What? Don't feel bad. He had his own bed, man. He's gonna lay in it. Just sleep with your ass against the wall because you're gonna get,
And he'll come out as a 50-year-old man. We'll have to see what he does with his life when he comes out.
I'm curious.
He's gonna be walking funny, that's for sure.
Part of the argument from his own legal team to the very issue of what you talked about the investors. Well, they argued for leniency partly because they said, well, look at, investors didn't lose any money.
Mr. DJ Death Star, thanks for being a member for 2 months, dude. Thank you for your commitment to doing your show. It helps me tremendously by consolidating the news in one spot. Dude, you're awesome. Appreciate you.
Well, Bitcoin's rallied back to where it has. You seem to take issue with that notion.
I don't like the argument because Sam broke the law. Sam committed fraud. He was found guilty. The prosecutors knew that before the trial started. They had a 98, 99% conviction rate. That argument should have been made before the trial started, and we wasted the taxpayers' money on the trial. And then they should have said, okay, we're going to plead guilty to this, and he probably would have gotten a reduced sentence. I think the problem is that he's got some mental illness I think the judge did take into consideration, because if you looked at the sentencing grid, the sentence was relatively on the lower end of the spectrum in terms of duration. But they should have made that argument earlier. Somebody should have gotten to Sam.
Well, they're playing that like autistic game with him, right?
And maybe he's just a hard guy to get to and say, look, you're obviously guilty. Plead out, and you'll get a lower and a reduced sentence, and you'll have some longer chance in your freedom to reclaim your life. He didn't do that, and but look, it's behind us. Here's something that people don't like me saying, I'm just going to share it with you. I think Gary Gensler did the whole industry a favor. He had the Bitcoin futures ETF approved in November of 2021. If you just followed the administrative law, he should have approved the spot ETF shortly thereafter. He didn't do that. Okay, and so he got sued for something that's called arbitrary and capricious administration of the law. But the 1+ year delay in the spot ETF exposed over leverage in the system, exposed fraud in the system.
Facts.
And so I do think he deserves credit for that. Whatever my issues are with Gensler and the SEC as it relates to crypto overall, this is a sturdier 67,000 than the prior 68, 69,000 in November of 2021.
That's interesting perspective.
That was very true, actually. That was really true with what he just said. It is way more sturdy at this moment than it was back, you know, when all this FUD was going along. And it's like, we can't stand Gary. I mean, still.
Eat shit, Gary.
Sucks, right? But at the end of the day, he did flush out a lot of bad actors. So take it as you will. All right, Bitcoin slumps after U.S. job growth beat expectations in March. Let's see what Crypto World CNBC Television's got to say over here, guys. That like button. Appreciate you for hanging out. I hate asking, but YouTube makes me.
Today, Bitcoin dips after another month of strong jobs growth. Athena Labs adds Bitcoin to the backing of its USDE synthetic dollar. And Fred Thiel of Marathon Digital breaks down how the Bitcoin miner is preparing for the halving. Welcome to CNBC's Crypto World. I'm Brandon Gomez. The crypto market moving lower after a fresh jobs report this morning showed the U.S. labor market is still going strong. By noon Eastern, Bitcoin fell 0.2% and Ether fell 1.3%, just as the 10-year Treasury yield jumped thanks to that hotter-than-expected jobs number. Now, a stronger U.S. labor market dashes some hope that the Fed will cut interest rates sooner than later, and that trickles down to bad news for the crypto market. Today's losses adding to the weekly declines for Bitcoin and Ether, which are down 2% and 4.8% respectively in the past 7 days.
Yeah, you're not wrong, Nerd Beast. So he said Gary did nothing to catch SBF. He was meeting consistently with him. I feel the narrative trying to shift with Gary and SBF. So I think they met 2 or 3 times, possibly, if I'm not mistaken. And yeah, I don't think he did anything specifically to catch him, but it flushed out all the bad actors. Like just a lot of shit. Everything that went down last year and the year before, like, kind of had to do with the ETFs and then, you know, the SEC cracking down on everything, right?
Okay, let's run through today's top stories. Athena Labs, the DeFi platform behind the Ethereum-focused USDE synthetic dollar, is adding Bitcoin to the asset's backing. Athena announced the move on Twitter yesterday and said taking on Bitcoin would allow USDE to scale significantly while also allowing the protocol to provide a safer product for its users. As a quick overview of USDE, it's pegged to the US dollar, but Athena Labs avoids calling it a stablecoin. Users deposit another stablecoin to receive USDE, and in the past, that initial deposit was sold for Ether. To protect against the volatility of Ether's price, Athena would also take a short position, betting against Ether's price at the same time. Now, Athena is adding Bitcoin to the types of assets it buys and shorts in order to maintain USDE's price. That short position also has the benefit of paying a yield back to the holders of USDE, which has led to the rapidly growing popularity of the asset. Athena's synthetic dollar launched at the beginning of this year and has already ballooned to $2 billion in value. Still, some have expressed concerns about the backing of the asset. Athena, though, insists the backing mechanism is very different than the likes of Terraform Labs UST, which was algorithmically backed by Bitcoin. That project, of course, collapsed in 2022, leading to the upheaval of the crypto market. Next, Coinbase is officially the largest crypto exchange in Canada after securing a license in the country earlier this week. Coinbase says it's the first crypto exchange to be granted a restricted dealer registration by Canadian officials, meaning it meets the country's strict crypto guidelines and can legally operate inside Canada's borders.
Nice.
The expansion comes after a crackdown by the nation's regulator that pushed Binance out of the country, and as Coinbase faces a legal battle with the SEC here in the US. No real surprise here, though. Coinbase has said repeatedly it would look to expand abroad as the US pushes on with its growing scrutiny of the crypto industry.
Yeah, that's crazy.
All right, time now for our main story. Bitcoin miners have been hard at work preparing for the halving event that's taking place in just a few weeks.
Oh boy.
Crypto World's Talia Kaplan spoke with Fred Thiel, CEO of Marathon Digital Holdings, about how the mining operator is expanding its footprint ahead of the key technical event.
Oh man, it's gonna be real interesting to see what happens with all the big facilities and just like How does the profitability change? I mean, people are gonna have to shut off, right? Because the facility is still gonna get the same amount of money for hosting your machine, but your profits are gonna drop. So it's like, you know, kind of sucks, I guess, for the little guy.
And speaking on CNBC last month, you discussed how Marathon is positioning itself for the upcoming halving. You pointed to your 2 recent acquisitions and noted that Marathon will keep acquiring. Just a few days ago, Marathon closed its previously announced acquisition of a 200 megawatt Bitcoin mining data center in Texas. Speaking on this show, the end of last year, you mentioned that you believe scale is very important. Can you take us through your acquisitions and how they can help your company get through the upcoming halving event?
Absolutely. So in December of last year, we owned only 3% of our operations, meaning the sites where we were hosted, because we had used an asset-light model to grow our capacity very quickly. We started doing acquisitions at the end of last year. We've now closed 2. Today, we now own and control 53% of our capacity. That's a pretty big jump in just a few number of months. Our total capacity now that we mine under is just over 1 gigawatt of power, and we own and operate just over 500 megawatts of power. So it gives you a feel for how quickly things can change.
500 megawatts. Every megawatt is 1,000,000 watts. That's crazy.
When you set your mind to it. The benefit of owning and operating these sites is that it essentially lowers our cost to operate. It lowers our cost to mine Bitcoin because we're now taking out the middleman, if you would.
God damn.
The other thing that's been a very positive impact of this is we've been able to acquire these sites at lower than replacement cost, meaning a cost below what it would have cost us to build them in the first place. So this is a great way of kind of being able to expand quickly, leverage other people's capital. They build the sites, and then we come in when the market gets a little weaker for sites and acquire the sites. And it's been a very good strategy for us so far, but we'll continue to acquire sites, and our objective is to be predominantly owned and operated going forward in the future.
Other big miners like Riot expanded Bitcoin mining operations ahead of the halving, acquiring more than 31,000 mining machines. What other steps are you and other miners taking in preparation for the halving?
So most miners have been expanding capacity aggressively. As you mentioned in your comment, Riot has placed an order for a large number of machines. Marathon has as well. We have a large order as well as options on machines, which essentially eliminates the constraint on being able to acquire miners as we acquire more capacity. Based on the orders we have in place today and the options we have for additional machines, we could grow to about 70 exahash, which if you think about where we ended last year, which was about 28 exahash, a considerable jump in our capacity over the next 2 years. And we've publicly announced that we expect to be at about 50 exahash by the end of next year. But we may accelerate that depending on availability of capacity and growth options.
Wow.
When speaking with CNBC, you mentioned that post-halving, you think the smaller miners will come under financial stress, which will cause the bigger miners to consolidate the industry. We spoke with CleanSpark's CEO recently, and he forecasted that 15 to 30% of miners will have to shut down following the halving. Do you think that's a realistic range?
15 to 30% of miners will have to shut down. That's crazy.
I think if you look globally, potentially about 15% of the capacity may come under pressure. And by that, I mean that those operations may be unprofitable. And then it's a question of whether the miner wants to continue to mine even though they're unprofitable, or if they just want to shut down operations. There are still a lot of machines that are of the older generations that aren't as energy efficient.
How many times have we seen this, though, when things get shut down because of the halving, and then, you know, a year or two later it comes back? Like, it's like once the price appreciates, then, you know, miners become all of a sudden profitable again.
Marathon is one of the most energy efficient fleets at about 24 joules per terahash. And as you look at other miners, the industry average is somewhere north of 30 joules per terahash. So the way to think about that is to essentially think that you know, Marathon's fleet is anywhere from 25 to 30% more efficient than the global average. And so those miners that have machines that are above the global average in energy consumption will likely come under pressure. So we'll have to see, but I think most of the publicly traded miners are fairly well positioned at this point.
Is there anything you're doing right now to set you apart from your peers?
Well, one thing we do very differently than our peers is we really have three pillars in our business. Most of our peers just do pure Bitcoin mining at what we call utility scale, where you partner with the power company, you build a data center 50, 100, 200 megawatts, and then when the power utility needs the power, you curtail that energy and act as a load balancer for them on their grid. In the case of Marathon, we also have a part of our business which is energy harvesting. And this is where we work with parties that have excess methane flare gas, for example, an oil field, landfill methane gas, and also.
Dude, you know what's weird? When I was out in Kansas for the Terra hosting, the video I dropped, there was like big flare gas towers just randomly in different plants all around the place. It was crazy.
Biomass from the manufacturing of things like ethanol and methanol. We can take that, turn that into energy, and then generate heat with our miners, which we feed back into a process. 50% of industrial energy is used for generating heat for manufacturing processes, heating buildings, etc. We believe that we can leverage Bitcoin mining to generate heat for those processes. And so
where was that actually? Was it in the UK? They were using Bitcoin miners to generate heat for a greenhouse, if I'm not mistaken.
Currently have a number of pilots in place today where we are deploying Bitcoin miners, whether it's on landfill gas, whether it's going to be flared gas from methane or biomass. And I think you'll see that part of our business grow. The important part of that business, though, other than the fact that we're mitigating methane, we're helping the environment, we're not using energy off the grid, so we're not taking energy off the grid. But more importantly, our cost of energy is subsidized by processing the biomass and selling the heat back, which means our cost to mine becomes much lower. And over time, and by that I mean over the next 4 to 5 years, our cost to mine will be below the industry average because we're not having to buy energy off the grid. We're not having to buy energy from utilities. We're able to generate our own energy. And that's a key thing. Lastly, our technology sector. We currently have developed our own firmware, our own pool for operating our miners. But most importantly, we've developed our own immersion technology. And at the Empower conference in Houston last week, we launched our two-phase immersion, which essentially allows you to take miners and get a lot more production out of the same number of miners at an energy efficient rate, which is going to be really a groundbreaking event, I think, in the industry, allowing you to not have to buy as many miners to get the same amount of capacity.
All right, that wraps things up for us.
All right, shout out to CNBC television for that, or Crypto World rather. All right, so let's move on to the video. I haven't watched this yet. This is Altcoin Daily. Larry Fink, 5 new Wall Street giants added to the Bitcoin ETF. There's really no other good videos to watch today, so I guess we'll see what this one has to say. Let's do it. If it'll play.
Massive news from BlackRock coming out of the Bitcoin ETF space. BlackRock has updated its Bitcoin ETF prospectus, adding 5 big Wall Street firms as new authorized participants, including Citadel, Goldman Sachs, UBS, and Citigroup. The takeaway here is that big-time firms either now want a piece of the action or are now okay being publicly associated with this. And understand, BlackRock, as well as every single other issuer of the Bitcoin ETF, already had big names listed as authorized participants, probably most surprisingly at the time, JP Morgan. It looks like more of the biggest firms want in, or more of the biggest firms now want to be associated.
Real quick, Mr. DJ Death Star, thank you so much for the $20 super chat, keeping the stream alive. He said, I was able to resolve that exchange issue. It was actually super easy to do once I found out how to use the market on Telegram. Was able to get my Gram/Ton into my own custody. Nice, dude. Yeah, I don't know much about Gram or Ton, and Telegram is just, I don't know, full of scammers, to be honest, but I try not to use it if I don't have to. But I appreciate the super chat. Thank you so much, man.
With its success. So this is a tweet from Eric Balchunas, who is the senior ETF analyst for Bloomberg. Here's a current list of the ETFs and their APs.
Damn.
Up until now, Citi, Goldman Sachs, UBS, and Citadel were not named in any of these ETF filings. So they're either new or they were ashamed before and did not want to be ID'd but are now cool. Either way, this is likely a result of the ETF's mega inflows and success. If you're unfamiliar, authorized participants, APs, play a crucial, very significant role in the Bitcoin ETF operational mechanism, as they can create and redeem shares of the ETF, which involve exchanging ETF shares for a corresponding basket of securities that reflect the ETF's holdings, or exchanging them for cash. It's amazing that this is happening. And why not, right? Look at this. These ETFs have been a huge success, the most successful ETFs on Wall Street ever. All of these ETFs have just been taking in a huge amount of Bitcoin. Like they've been seeing net positive inflows of Bitcoin. It's just the only elephant in the room is this, GBTC. And you can see the GBTC outflows here, although again, net
Well, good. They kind of deserve it for being greedy. Right?
flows are positive.
Insane.
Here's what I'm thinking happens in the not too distant future, because although there's been constant sell pressure from GBTC, the overall ETFs are holding up significantly well, as I showed you. So honestly, I feel like we haven't even seen up-only mode yet. Because once GBTC sell-off burns out and GBTC starts going up alongside the others, like BlackRock's, that's when things are going to go crazy. So there's just a huge impact we're seeing on the demand side.
NiceHash is always wrong with their halving countdown every single time.
And then in about...
I can't wait to see, like, this number always ends up changing. Every time I watch a countdown on NiceHash, it's just terrible.
13 days, we're going to see a huge impact on the supply side.
It's about 2 weeks away.
Do you realize that this is less than 2 weeks away? Are you having a halving party? Do your friends even know that the Bitcoin halving is happening soon?
Speaking of that, if the halving happens in the morning, I'm going to stay live until it happens. So we'll see what happens.
Gatekeeping this information. This is very significant. Now, there is an issue. There's a little bit of a concern that comes up every halving, and that's miner profitability. Because after the halving, the Bitcoins that the miners receive as payment get cut in half, and some of the lesser miners usually cannot remain profitable. Now, here's the thing. Miners are way above the miner profitability line right now. The miners over the past 4 years since the last halving, they took a bet and they're winning the bet because they're highly profitable. But after this, take a look. Like basically where Bitcoin is right now, they would still remain profitable. But if Bitcoin ever falls lower than like 63,000, miners wouldn't necessarily be profitable. Now, obviously, the miners can save up some Bitcoin to a certain extent, but they don't have an unlimited...
So 67,000 would be miner profitability. Where did they get that number? How did they get that?
...supply of Bitcoin to save themselves if Bitcoin drops below about 63,000. And the biggest miners will do okay, but it's really the smaller miners. So the question is, do you think Bitcoin stays below 63,000 for any significant amount of time after April 20th? I think everything is going to work out. It always does. It's capitalism with the miners. The weakest ones might get flushed out, but overall the strongest ones will survive. And actually, I'm bullish on Bitcoin mining in general. There is one saving grace, and many are recognizing this, but it's still very early within this ecosystem. The one...
Yeah, obviously it depends on the electric rate, but it's just weird. Yeah, he's probably looking at some statistic where like the electric's like 3 cents or something.
Saving grace for miners is network fees, particularly with this booming token economy we're seeing on Bitcoin nowadays. It's still early, but you know about ordinals and inscriptions, and Bitcoin is developing its own token economy, just like Ethereum, Solana, Cardano. And then people are recognizing Bitcoin mining profitability is different this time. It won't necessarily fall after the halving because the increased network fees could complement miner revenue post-halving thanks to the emergence of ordinals, inscriptions, and Bitcoin finance, BTC.
This is the only thing I'm really nervous about is the network fees. Trying to get my Bitcoin out of like my ledger, say, right, if I needed to send it to Coinbase. I just feel like it's going to be, I don't know. It's going to be one of those things where I'm like, man, they're taking how much out of it when I got to send it? You know what I mean?
The Bitcoin ecosystem is growing. Personally, I'm looking for gems. I know about Stacks. I know about Bob. But there's a lot I don't know, but I like to be early into ecosystems like this. So I have begun doing my own research. You tell me, which Bitcoin tokens do you like? One that recently caught our attention is Trex20. Trex20 is revolutionizing and pioneering in GameFi built on Bitcoin protocol with multiple games and an NFT-fi marketplace and progressive lotto under one roof. We actually signed on as strategic advisors. Thrilled to announce Altcoin Daily, our newest strategic advisor, with the reach amassing more than 1 million. Altcoin Daily brings informative and trust 1 million in funding. What exactly is it? I don't
Is that a shill? Is this a shill?
fully understand. Well, it's revolutionizing GameFi built on the Bitcoin protocol, combining a diverse library of games, an NFT-fi marketplace with lending and borrowing capabilities, and a progressive lotto system, all accessible through their native token TR20. This is a Bitcoin token, creating a one-stop shop for BRC20 enthusiasts. So this is the token standard. Hey, look, there we are. So you see they got some
Oh, God. All right, I'm moving on.
20. In other news, Base is dominating the L2 landscape. The Ethereum L2s, they're all doing well, but Base is really pulling forward. Base is leading in terms of daily active addresses with 890,000. Base transaction volume surpassed 1.6 billion, nearly 3 times as much as Optimism's. The network processed 2.63 million transactions on April 2nd. Is it safe to say it's Base Spring? And again, this is all taking place on Ethereum, guys. Not only does the biggest exchange in the US, Coinbase, support Ethereum, so does BlackRock, and even entities like JP Morgan, who have every reason to kind of hint the opposite. They're saying, JP Morgan strategists are saying that they believe that the spot Ethereum ETFs would win regulatory approval in litigation with the SEC. So even if the SEC gives them problems, JP Morgan strategists saying, well, there's no reason they shouldn't get approved in the appeal. There's no reason they shouldn't get it approved now. And this is a really good take on Ethereum by Tyler Winklevoss. Ethereum is digital oil like Amazon, Microsoft, and Google combined. Listen. Cardano getting gatekept by mainstream media? Several U.S. states contacted the Cardano Foundation asking for help to build a transparent and secure voting system. Some big media did not report on it at all. Could it be that the media is deliberately ignoring this news because it concerns Cardano? I'm bullish on Cardano just because I see what's going on, and they're going to be here down the line. Cardano's treasury holds 1.48 billion ADA coins. This equates to 843 million. The ADA treasury adds ADA every 5 seconds. So Cardano is going to be here 5 years from now. It's going to be here 10 years from now, at least according to the data I look at. Hey, LA locals, get your tickets for the...
No one cares. All right, move on. Anyways, guys, recap segment of things. Let's see what we're looking like now. 67,862. We're going to be rating Mr. Crypto Mikkel in a few minutes. He's going to be going live. Let's see. ADA for the wins is Andrew Masad. I think ADA is going to do just fine. I think it'll do just fine. I think it's like a safe bet, right? Safe bet. I don't know. Again, I never held any until recently. I just bought some the last couple of days, or last week or so. And yeah, let's see what the biggest earner is on the week, actually. While we're here, it looks to be Core, 101% up. It's ranked 51. Look at that. Up 46 ranks. That's crazy. $2.59. Damn. 100% move. That's nuts. Pendle, 51% on the week. 67th for ranking in the top 100. $7.12. Crazy. Absolutely crazy. All right, so let's see. I do not think that secure voting system and government go together, really. Let me see what else you guys are saying. Anything else in the chat you guys want to talk about, feel free to ask. I don't think there's anything really else to look at. Let's check out lithium, actually, just because I want to see how the price is. $2.93. Look at that. Wow. Look at that dump, huh? No, it wasn't. I guess like 20 cents, if that. Not even. That's not too bad though. Could be worse. It looks way worse than it is. I mean, I guess 24 hours, yeah. Kind of sucks, but whatever. We'll see. See what happens. I think these lithium ASICs are going to kill it, but it depends how much they cost. It depends how much they cost. Oh god, this is at 30 cents. Look at this. 30 cents kilowatt hour. I have it right now, and it's saying it's still making $103 a day. God damn. That's crazy. That's crazy. What if you don't pay anything in electric? $118 a day. That's insane. You know, let's see what my KS0 is making. Free electric. Where are we at? KS0. Because I got to run it on solar, and it actually made it through the night. I just checked while I was live. What the hell is it? Did I go buy it? Did I go buy it? I'm gonna type it in because I don't know. KS0. $1.27 a day. I gotta get these all on solar, not paying anything for electricity. I got some timers actually. I gotta get the whole trailer set up differently. It's gonna be crazy. Nerdbeast said I read something about something called ore is what is slowing Solana. Sounds like a scam, but it's spamming the network. Apparently, not sure if it's true. Yeah, there's something with Solana. I read it yesterday actually. Let's see. Where was it? Oh wait, this one. Right here. The Solana network appears to be struggling to keep up with the ravenous demand for meme coins, with data showing roughly 75% of transactions network currently failing. I don't know what this ore, I don't know what that ore is you're talking about, but this one, read this the other day. I don't think it mentions ore. I don't think it does. This is on Cointelegraph. But yeah, this site right here, Cointelegraph, is a good place to come and like look for just news, like new news, right? Bitcoin profitability won't necessarily fall after the halving. Like there's a lot of stuff here, right? And this, honestly, this is one of the best news sites ever. All right, let's see. 2 times the KS5L or 1 times KS5 Pro. That's a good question. Let's see. Let's go back to 10 cents. What's your electric rate? Actually, Sustainable Crypto. He's asking, should he get 2 KS5Ls or 1 KS5 Pro? KS5 Pro is 21 terahash. The L is the 12 terahash. 125 a day or $68 a day. It really, yeah, that's what I was thinking too, DJ. The terahashes, if the terahashes equal more, right, which 2 of them would be 24 over 21, depends on the price. Whatever you can get the price for, right? And then, so there's upsides to getting more than 1 machine, right? You're gonna have, no, you know what though? Look at the wattage. Look at the wattage on that. I'd go with the 5, the S5. Just strictly on the wattage. I'd go with the S5. Yeah, S5. That's just me. But like the 2 units, the advantages are, right, if one breaks down, you still got one, right? Okay, that's obviously a thing, right? The price is the other thing. But at the same time, the wattage is gonna kill you. It's over double. Like one of these units, 3400 watts for one of them, and the 21 terahash KS5 Pro is 3150. That's already 350 watts over, and then you're gonna be timesing that by 2. That's crazy. 1 extra ASIC equals $180 in power. 1 extra what are you saying? Electricity a day, a month. What are you saying, DJ? 1 extra ASIC equals $180 in power. You save 7 to 8K, 200x it in power is nothing. Well, yeah, when you're, it depends though. It depends what you can get it for, right? Are they even on? Hold on, this is Bitmain. He has 5 Ls on Ice River. Let's see. So it's 13,000, right? And then we need to go to Bitmain. PS5 Pro's 44. That's insane. The 20 terahash units, 29,000. Yeah, I mean, it would be easier to sell 2 units. That's obviously a plus on that. Yeah, it's man, it's a toss up. It's a toss up, but you'd save a lot. You'd save a lot if you bought the 2 machines versus the 1. Because that's crazy. That's crazy. They'd be $29,000. What's the? I don't understand. Oh, this is the that's right. 20 terahash versus the 21. I mean, shit. Why does it say to be continued? I would get this one over the 21 for an extra whatever. But the 2, yeah, the 2 makes more sense. It makes more sense. At 13,000, it sucks about the wattage, but like if you don't care about the watts, then screw it. That's what I would do. Yeah, it's literally way cheaper. It's $25,000 basically, or $26,000 for 2 of those, right? But you're also gonna get hit with taxes and tariffs on both of these units. So yeah, I mean even this cheapest price here, 32,599. That's literally still 8K more than what you'd be paying for 2 of these units, even if it was that price. But it's not. It's a lot. It's like 44. That's crazy. That's way too much. I'm gonna be honest with you though, I wouldn't buy either of them. Dead honest truth, I wouldn't buy either of them. I would just put the money into Caspa. I would just buy Caspa. It is absolutely low right now, and it's smart. It's a smarter move in my opinion than buying the machine, because it's going to be obsolete when they come out with the next one. That's just my opinion. I would absolutely buy Caspa right now, because it's literally at the verge of breaking out. My opinion. Actually, it might literally be breaking out as we speak, or getting to that spot, or it's just going to do the sideways thing before the pop. I don't know. I don't know. It's very risky. I would buy the coin versus the machine, because Ice River has a really bad failure rate, unfortunately. I like them. They're a great company, I guess, right? But at the same time, the failure rate on the big machines were really bad. I gotta do a video on this thing though. KS5 Pro, the commemorative edition. I don't know if my code actually works for this shit anymore. I don't think it does. It's supposed to be code chump, but I think they shut off all of our codes, even Panda's. Yeah, there's not even a spot to put it in. Weird. Yeah, I don't think they even have the codes anymore either, which sucks. But anyways, all right guys, listen, love you all. You're all fantastic. I gotta get out of here. I'm exhausted. I have a lot of stuff to do today. I gotta get the studio situated, but I'll be back later on tonight at 9:45 Eastern Standard Time with the guys. We're gonna have the round table. If you guys have any suggestions, please feel free to throw them in the comments below or add us in Discord, and we'll get to you guys as soon as possible. But let's go raid Mr. Crypto McKell. Even if you guys can't hang around, please go hit that like button, subscribe to him, and we will see you guys later on tonight. Have a good one, and peace out.